Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Soul Rising podcast. I am Amanda McCoy Flanagan. I am your host. We go all in on love, loss, and connection here. Welcome back. If you've joined me before, welcome. If this is your first time here, I am thrilled you are here. I always have wonderful guests, and today I'm really pleased to bring you Tim Lodgen. I've been trying to get Tim here for a while. We've been messaging here and we have him today, and it's the perfect day. We were actually supposed to record Monday, but whatever happened, and then we rescheduled for today, and today happens to be his 4-year sober anniversary. That is amazing. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Tim, and then we're going to jump into his story, and then we'll take it from there. Tim Lodgen was born in Baltimore, Maryland. After suffering with addiction for 27 years, he celebrates 4 years today in recovery. Today, he now spreads the message of strength, courage, and hope to as many people as possible. A former Gold Glove and Junior Olympic boxer, former U.S. Marine, and professional MMA fighter, Tim is rising on the motivational speaker circuit as an advocate for first responders and veterans who may suffer from mental illness, addiction, and suicidal ideations. He works with 2 nonprofit 501c3s. One is called the Overwatch Collective, and the other is called the Light It Up Project, which I love that. My first episode, we called it Light 'em Up. That's what we call it, Light 'em Up. That's so cool. Hey, Tim, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to possibly reach one more person. If I can reach one more person, that's one less that we may lose to this disease. And that is my goal anytime I share my story. So thank you so much for having me.
That's it. That's why we do what we do, right? That's a gift. We were talking before we press record about what a gift the sobriety is and how we have the opportunity to help other people live, to save lives. We're saying we save lives without a PhD. And in the result, the return is this life that we get to live. Like, do you call yourself a grateful alcoholic? I call myself a grateful alcoholic because I don't think I would have chosen this path if I didn't have to, if I was an alcoholic.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny that you say that because in the beginning, I was ashamed of actually labeling myself an alcoholic addict. Once I got to rehab, like that first week jitters kind of went through, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to own this. Like I'm in recovery, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to get this right. I wasn't taking this like I'm given an opportunity.
Yes,
Now, what am I going to do with that opportunity?
for sure. So tell us your story. Let's go back to the beginning. What it was like, what happened, what it's like now, that whole deal.
Yeah, I'll keep it with 15, 20 minutes like we kind of talked about. In my childhood, there was no drugs or alcohol present in my home. My father was a police officer. He drank on an occasion, holiday event, birthday, a normal social drinker. My mother is 74. I think I've seen that woman drink 5 beers since I've been alive. It just wasn't around. There was no drugs. At the age of 6, my mother and father did get a divorce. I bring that up because as a 6-year-old little boy, having a brother who's 10 years older than me, I thought it was my fault that my mom and dad got a divorce. My thought process was, why did my dad leave me at 6 and my brother 16? Why did he stick around so long for him, but he left me so young? What's wrong with me? Did I not listen? Did I drink good craze? Was I bad? Like, why didn't he love me? And I mention that because a lot of the times that we do drink and or use drugs, it comes from childhood trauma. And it doesn't always have to be physical or sexual abuse. I felt as if my own parent didn't love me and want to stick around for me, then why should I care about myself?
Yeah.
So when I started to drink and drug, I would use that fuel to take it to the next level. My own parent didn't love me. Why should I care?
Mhm.
It wasn't until I got into my 40s and got sober at 44 that I kind of talked that with my mom, and she said, are you kidding me? You held on to that since you were a little boy? That had nothing to do with you. Me and your father, your father was running around on me. I couldn't take it anymore. He loves you. He's always loved you.
Yeah.
But how, you're not going to explain that to a 6-year-old little boy, So I carried that. My
And
mother,
if I could just interject for
yeah,
one second, when we're from 0 to 12, it's all about us developmentally in our brains. You could, even if they would have told you, hey, little Timmy, you were probably so cute. Little Timmy, this is not anything to do with you. You still would have probably internalized it as it is about me. It's no way around that.
no. And now knowing that I was born with the disease of addiction, which some people think, oh, it's drugs and alcohol. It's not. It's a dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin level change in your brain that we constantly are looking to fill those changes. I internalized it. I made it my fault. Everything was on me. It was nobody else's fault. I'll take the blame for everything. And I've done that my entire life. Even as a young boy, my mom kept me busy. I had played baseball. I did football. I was almost a professional skateboarder at one point in my teenage years. I grew up with Brandon Novak, who was one of the members of Jackass and Viva Bam.
He was just here in my town over the summer or in September. He did a speaking gig.
That's him right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I had 8 months. He asked me to come out to one of his treatment centers, one of his sober living houses and celebrate 8 months.
Cool.
So I've known him since I was in elementary school. I grew up with him, and I was able to skate with him and Bucky Lasik and a bunch of like big name skateboarders back in the day. But when something went wrong with the baseball field, say I didn't strike out the last batter, forget the rest of the team. It was my fault. I didn't strike them out. We lost because I didn't strike out the last batter. If I didn't score that last touchdown or stop the person from scoring the last touchdown, forget the rest of the team. It was on me. It was my fault. I always made everything my fault. Or if we won, it was because of me, because I'm the best pitching point. Well, because I ran that touchdown and I was just great. Nobody else had any parts in the win. It was always me. So internalizing things like that, absolutely. I think that sort of as a young age, even with sports. As I got older and like through trauma and stuff like that, even if it was somebody else's fault, well, what part did I play? Because my part was probably a lot bigger than theirs. And at the end of the day, it's probably my fault anyway. But she kept me busy. She made sure I was always involved in sports. She, to this day, is my biggest supporter, hands down, to anybody. That woman went from my dad leaving me and my brother. She made $10,000 that whole year. Still kept a roof over our heads. Still kept food in the refrigerator. I didn't have the best clothes. I didn't have the best shoes. But we had electric. We had food. I had clothes. She did what she could. She ended up becoming, at the age of 32, one of the first 10 top female bodybuilders in the country.
Wow.
And we're talking early 80s. So it was odd for a woman to be a bodybuilder. But she turned her life around, became a professional bodybuilder, put herself through college, AA master's, ended up getting her master's degree, all while working 2 part-time jobs and a full-time job. She's been my example of no matter what happens in life, you can pick yourself back up and you can ultimately change it. It's all up to you. So she just the example, epitome of get up, dust yourself off. You can do it. And it's going to go into what we talked about, the mindset. I remember I was in 5th grade and she was crying at the edge of her bed. And she wouldn't really tell me. I'm at 10. She's not going to get deep with her 10-year-old son, but she was just crying. I'm sorry I can't provide so much for you. I'm like, Mom, it's okay. As long as I have you, I love you. And she told me when I got sober, she said, you have no idea what that meant to me. She said, you just saying that as a young little boy at 10 years old gave me more motivation to get back to school and change my life. By the time I graduated high school, she had met my stepdad and she'd become a multimillionaire. She became one of the first female vice presidents of her company, and really, from going $10,000 the first year when my dad left to becoming a multimillionaire by the time I was 18, she just was the epitome of watch what I can do.
Awesome.
Like, watch this.
Yeah.
So she just still to this day, she tells me how proud she is of me. Yeah. And that now that woman, she's been through it all. She lost all her money. She's 74 now. She got from Social Security and retirement, and still has more money than most people that I know because she budgets, just lives her life right. She's like, I've had it all. None of that means anything. I'm happy. I'm healthy. You're happy. You're healthy. My grandkids are happy and healthy. That's what life's about.
It matters. Yep.
Those things come and go.
Yep.
But are you healthy here? Are you healthy here? Because that's the most important part. I got to high school and I wasn't a student. I was an average at best. C's, B's. I would have it in tier E. Wow. So come senior year, I knew I wasn't getting into college. It wasn't happening unless I was going to a community college. I really didn't like that. A lot of my friends at the time were getting into some heavy drugs. And I didn't drink. I didn't smoke pot or nothing. I just wasn't into it. I was an athlete. But the summer before senior year, I said, well, I'm not going to college. I don't really want to hang out with these people doing drugs. My dad, my grandfather, and my brother were all in the military. I might as well just sign up for the military. So I went ahead before senior year and I signed up for the Marine Corps. I set myself up to when I graduated high school, I would have a week or two left and then I'd be in boot camp. I didn't want the whole summer. I probably wouldn't have gone. I would have had 3 months off after high school. I wanted to go and my thought process at the time was, let me have fun this year. When at school stop, I'm going to the Marine Corps and shit's going to get real. So let me have some fun. So I started going to parties. I started drinking. For me, what I noticed is after that first beer cracked, my walls dropped. What else is at this party? You got some pot? I'll try some of that. Mm. Oh, you hit some acid? I'll try some of that. Oh, mushrooms? Try some of that. K2? I'll try some of that. PCP? Sure, I'll try some of that. I'll do a lot of it. I pretty much did everything that was at a party. Thank God heroin was what's around in 94.
I say the same thing all the time. Thank God. And
I don't know if I would have.
Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have done it. I don't think I would have because I just wasn't into that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else that was in the 90s, let's do it. Because raves were getting big in the 90s. I was going to raves, doing Take-Two and Molly and all that stuff. So
yeah, ecstasy.
I was in. Let's do it. But it all started after that first beer. I didn't go and smoke PCP and have beer.
Yeah.
I had a couple beers in me and I was like, yeah, screw it. I don't care. Let's do it. So I identify myself as a recovering alcoholic with drugs in my story.
Me too.
But for me to get to the root cause of my addiction, it started when I cracked open the first beer.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of my addiction, what was killing me? It wasn't the drugs. It was the alcohol.
Yeah.
So my home group, my sponsors, AA, I primarily go to AA meetings, but I do go to NA meetings as well because I also relate. I also stole my mom's checkbook one time to go get pills. I also stole money out of my grandfather's wallet to go get drugs. It wasn't to go get a 6-pack of beer. It was to go get drugs. So I did those things as well. But I graduated high school, going to the Marine Corps. The drugs did stop. There was no drugs in the Marine Corps. But if you know anybody that's in the military, once you get done boot camp and you're out there in the Fleet Marine Force or in the Army and you're done your MOS training in schools, when you're done training and you're off for the day, you go drink. That's what you do. And it doesn't matter if you're 18, 19, 20 years old. And I'm going to say this because I still agree with it to this day. The mottos at the bars around the surrounding bases were, if you're old enough to take a bullet for the country, you're old enough to have a cold beer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't disagree with that. If I can sign a contract saying I will give you up into including my life, you're telling me I can't have a beer, but I just went and fought a war and was shooting and people were shooting at me. But I come back here and I can't have beer. I get it.
I agree.
I get it. But there was no deterrent for us to not drink. We would see our sergeants at these bars, 30-year-olds. They wouldn't say, don't drink. You guys aren't of age. They would just simply say, don't get in a fight. Don't get locked up. Make sure your ass is up at 3:30 in the morning at formation and ready to go train. It was kind of a badge of an honor. It was kind of a part that we were just expected to train hard and party hard. And we did it. That's what we did. In 95, my unit was deployed to Somalia. Now, war was over. So I don't consider myself a combat veteran. I was never in a firefight, but I was not welcome over there. They did not want us there. I did see the ramifications of what war does to its people and its country. I did see poverty. I did see horror and trauma. And at the time, it didn't affect me. So I told myself, this is what I trained for. This is what we do. This is why we're here. When we got back in the country and we were doing our reassessment, kind of a decompression reassessment for 30 days, I had a lot of second thoughts on why I joined the military. Why am I here? Why did I do this? Why do we go to other countries and fight? What's the real reason why we go to other countries and cause war? Money, power, politics. Like, was I doing it to become a man? My other men in my family did it. Well, that's one thing, but what's the true nature of why the militaries are put together and why we actually go to war in different countries? I didn't think I would be part of that. Is that something that I believe? I believed in being military, but did I believe in the reasons why we kill each other? I don't know if I did. So I had a really hard time reacclimating into the States. And my company commander suggested I go and see a psychiatrist. I started seeing the chaplain. I started doing, my thought process. And they were like, we think you're depressed and like, you might need to go see a psychiatrist. So I started seeing a psychiatrist. At that time, I was just telling them, I can't get up out of the rack. I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to train. I don't want to put this uniform anymore. I just don't I don't want to be a part of this. So 2.5 years after the war, they went ahead and honorably discharged me for medical reasons. So I was deemed unfit for active duty. For mental health reasons. I was honorably discharged, but to be honest with you, I got home. That first month was amazing. I didn't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have to shave every day. I didn't have to I didn't have to run 3 miles a day. I didn't have to say yes for I didn't have to figure it out. But the second month hit, and I started to get depressed. I'm 21. I'm living back at my mom's house. I've got no car. I've got no job. And for me, which I've understood now in recovery, I've always been attached to an identity. Who am I? Who is Tim? I'm not a Marine anymore. I'm 21. I'm jobless. I have no vehicle. I'm a loser. I didn't complete what I started to complete. What good am I? So the third month came, what we came early. Stopped showering, stopped shaving. I was drinking every day. And because I was in drug test, I was smoking pot and taking pills. And I found myself one day, I went to my stepfather's lawnmower. I grabbed his Glock and I sat on my lap. And you're looking at God, 21 years old. I don't know what to do. Thank God I called my girlfriend. I said, hey, I'm looking at a gun. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. Within 5 minutes, she was over at the apartment and she took the gun from me. Later that evening, when my mom came home, I told her, Mom, there's something wrong. I need to see somebody. I didn't tell her I just had my stepfather's gun in my lap. she would have had me committed. And I really, honestly, at that time, I was not trying to go into a psychiatric unit. I just wasn't trying to have it. But what she did do was set up some appointments with some doctors that following week. And I go to see some doctors. And in the 90s, they diagnosed me with bipolar 1 manic depressive disorder. I mentioned this because this is very important for a lot of people that get put on any type of medicines, whether it's psychiatric reasons or for medical reasons, heart condition, blood pressure, liver disease, whatever the medicines are, whether it's psychiatric or actual medical reasons. If your doctor is on medicine, please be honest with your doctor about your lifestyle. The first thing that they do is put me on psychiatric medicines for my depression and bipolar and my schizoaffective. I would go back to those checkups in 30, 60, 90 days, whatever the prescription I had was. I would go back for a checkup. How are they working? Feeling? What's going on? I feel worse. This isn't working. I don't know what you got me for. It's not working. Okay, well, maybe we have the milligrams off. Let's take some milligrams up over here. Maybe this one with that is kind of counteracting each other. We'll bring this one in and put you on this milligram over here. I would go back again for another checkup, 30, 50, 90 days. How you feeling? Doctor, whatever you're putting in your life is not working. I feel worse. What's wrong with me? Even the medicines aren't working. I don't know what's wrong with me. Am I so screwed up in the head that even the medicines aren't working? Well, I wasn't telling him I was drinking 12 to 18 beers a day. I wasn't telling him I was smoking pot, taking pain pills, eating mushrooms. Like, I wasn't telling him these things. So the drugs are never going to work.
Yeah.
They're not designed to work with alcohol and drugs in your system.
Mm-hmm.
This on and off medicines, up and down of dosages, adding cocktail, taking off of cocktails, went on from the age of 21 until the age of 44 until I got sober.
Wow.
I was the typical bipolar patient. I would start to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be on them for 5 months. Things are growing great. The sun's shining. I'm sleeping good. Why do I need to take this medicine? And then I'd have a crash after 30 days and have to go back. And the doctor, well, what happened, Tim? They were kind of looking. What was going on? Oh, why didn't I need them anymore? Not understanding, it never goes. What do you mean you don't need them anymore? That's why you had a crash. Now you got to put you back on. And you know, 2 to 3 weeks, start getting you new script. I'll give it 1 month for you to start feeling the effect. You cannot just stop these medicines. So I think maybe between 21 and 44, I think there was a good year and a half where I actually stayed on my bipolar medicine. I was still drinking and drugging on top of it, but I didn't have the high highs and the low lows. I still had my ups and downs, but they weren't as dramatic because I did have some medicines.
Okay.
I just got to, I'm not taking this stuff anymore. It's so much easier to drink beer and take pain pills and smoke pot. And and besides, it's so much more fun, right?
Yeah.
I met my wife. We had our daughter, and I lost another job. I will tell you, from the age of 21, since I got out of the Marine Corps until I got sober at 34, I went through 46 job employment. And I'm not talking under the table stuff. I'm talking W-2s, taxes taken, legitimate jobs.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold a job. And it surely wasn't the drugs and alcohol, right? It was, how dare they want me to come in an hour early? You mean I got to work Saturday? John's an asshole. I don't want to work with John anymore. Forget this. You know, it was everybody else other than, maybe it's me. I drank till 2 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't get up at 7 a.m. to be at work. And you know what? I just really don't feel like doing that today. I couldn't take no accountability for myself. It was everybody else. I get into my 30s. My wife has her second child, got 1 or 2. I lose my 30-something job at this time. And she said, well, what are you doing? I went, I don't know. I kind of just don't want to work 9 to 5. Well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't really know. I'm still in great shape. I'm only 32. I really miss sports. I really miss having something like to say that I am. Because I've had jobs where I did carpentry jobs. I did sales, a little bit of everything. And she said, well, what are you, I'm like, well, would really like to compete again. And she's like, in what? I said, it's martial arts, boxing or something. And she's like, you're 32. I'm like, yeah, but I go to the gym every day. I run. I take care of myself. And bless her heart at the time, she's like, I tell you what, you're getting on. I make 80,000 a year. We're kind of good. I'll give you a year. If you can make a career out of this, actually make some money, then by all means do it. But every year, if you can't do this, enough is enough. You need to go get another job with benefits. You have $2 now. Like, that's enough. So I started training. About 6 months into it, I get my first fight. I get a sponsor. I'm training at the local gym. And that 6 months to a year ended up almost 4.5 years of me fighting up and down the East Coast, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware. I wasn't eating that much money, 1,500, 2,000 a fight. It wasn't like I was banking money and buying a new house. But what he was, I trained and I saw, I saw something at the end of it.
Mhm.
I had an identity. And I will tell you this, no matter how much drugs and alcohol I've ever consumed, there is no feeling that has ever topped coming out dressing room in front of 5,000 people with the music going off and the TV cameras on you and everybody yelling your name and your walkout music going. That adrenaline, that dopamine endorphin dump, no drug could ever top it. That in itself is a drug. That in itself is a euphoria that only people that have experienced that could ever tell you. That feeling is unmatched. But it gets to, I'm 32. I start fighting, turn 36. I'm at my last fight, and I'm fighting for the 155-pound belt in Harris Casino on TV. And I put a guy in a rear naked choke, and I feel this burning sensation in my shoulder. I feel a pop. It feels like a bunch of hot knives just stabbing me in the shoulder. I had to let go. He turns me around, chokes me out. I lose the match. But I get back into the dressing room and I go to get dressed and I can't grip my right arm, like above my waist. It won't even move. I'm like, oh my God, something happened. So my trainer helped me put my shirt on. I go out into the casino where I have about 25, 30 friends and family that are there. And even though I'm left-handed as far as writing and drawing and stuff, I do everything right-handed. My wife goes to hand me a beer and I grab it with my left hand, which usually I hold everything right. And she notices immediately, that was weird. You don't ever hold anything with your left hand. I'm like, yeah, so I can't lift my arm at all. And she's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, she's like, that's it. You're done. Like, you had fun. That's it. Now you got to go see the doctor. So that next day I go to see the doctor and he said, yeah, so you torn your labrum in 3 places and you have to have emergency rotator cuff repair surgery, like immediately. That was the worst surgery I've ever had in my life. If you've never experienced it, do not get it unless you really have to. It was extremely painful. I've had 7 surgeries in my life and that was the worst, but it was a 9 to 10 month rehab. And it also started a 4.5 year long painful prescription addiction to Oxycontin. And if you remember, there was a time in the not early, I would say 2013, that Oxycontins were sold to the public. I will say sold as non-addictive. You could get them from your primary care physician. You didn't have to go to a pain management clinic. You didn't have to go to a specialist. Your actual PCP could prescribe them to you. And they were the next best things in Tylenol. You could just stop at any time and there are no adverse side effects. Okay. So I was on them. I was taking them not as prescribed because that's what we do. We're addicts. I wasn't taking them 1 every 4 hours. It was 4 to 5 every 4 hours.
Yeah.
I was running through my prescription 2 weeks before the doctor would fill them, having to call my buddies to hold me your next prescription. I would play the game. Doc, I don't know what happened. My elbow hit it to the toilet. Can you get me a couple days earlier? And he would do it every once in a while until he kind of was like, I'm not doing it anymore. I know what you're doing. But it got to the point where I'm taking 15 to 20 milligram oxy a day. I'm drinking 12 to 18 beers. I'm smoking about a quarter of pot a day. I remember sitting in my bedroom. I remember, even though I'm taking this, not like this is what makes me feel normal. I'm taking so much opioids and I'm drinking so much alcohol. There is a really good chance that I could go to bed tonight and my body could just say, you know what, I'm done. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not going to die in my sleep. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do this shit now. And I reach over and I grab my bottle that's in my dresser and I dump it out in my hand. I had 18, 20 milligram Oxycontins. I took all 18 of them. I go into the refrigerator. I grab a 12-pack of beer. I sit in the living room. I guzzle 12 beers within 45 minutes.
Wow.
I remember going and laying in my bed and I saying, God, please don't let me wake up. I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't know how to stop. I just want the pain to go away. And if you are listening through this right now, the pain that I am talking about is not a physical pain. It's a pain that's inside of a hopeless feeling, that a darkness. It's a pain that there's no way out. The only way going to be released is to take your life. If you have ever been in this situation, you know the pain that I'm talking about. That is a scary, scary place to be. I didn't know any other way out. I just wanted the pain to go away. I remember waking up the next day and it was 8, 9 o'clock at night. I was out for 18 hours, easy. But I remember I woke up, first thought was, holy shit, I didn't die. My second thought was to get up and go into the bathroom where I had a refill, and I opened the bottle and I dumped the entire refill into the toilet. I remember looking into the mirror in the bathroom and telling myself, this is going to get bad, but no matter how bad this gets, we are never taking pain medicine again. Remember this feeling. And for the next 10 days, if you ever come off those opioids or heroin, any type of benzodiazepine, any type of drugs like that, the withdrawal it literally feels like you're dying. For 10 days, I went through the pains, the aches, the restless nights, the racing thoughts, the throwing up, the going to the bathroom, the sweating, the coughing, just complete gambit of coming off of opioids. But every morning when I would look in the mirror, but throwing up, wiping the tears and the snot from my face, I would tell myself, remember this feeling. Remember this feeling. We're never doing this again. We're never doing this again. At the end of the 10 days, I had to get out of the house. I had to go for a ride. I was like in the house, basically feeling like I was dying. So I get in my truck, and I live in Maryland here, and we have this beautiful reservoir called Loch Raven Reservoir. And people go biking and hiking and fishing. And in high school, we would cut school and go drink a couple beers and maybe smoke a joint. It was like the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving through the reservoir, and I remember I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm like, why are you doing this to me? You're not real. Because if you exist, you wouldn't be making me suffer like this. If you loved me and created me, why am I suffering so bad? Oh, that's right. You don't even exist. It's all bullshit. I had zero faith in a higher power, a God, a Allah, Buddha, whatever you believe in. It didn't exist at that time, because if you created me and loved me, why am I suffering? So I'm driving through the park and I get to this tree where December 26, 1997, my best friend unfortunately lost control of his vehicle, hit this tree, and he died at the age of 18. I remember I get out of my truck, I go up to the tree, and I'm crying. I put my heel on the tree, and I say, Bill, I need a sign. I don't know why I survived. I don't know why I'm here. If there is something greater than me, there's something else out there. Please just give me a sign of something. I just need to know that I'm not alone, that there's something else out there and everything's going to be okay. Please. And I go to leave the park and I'm still crying. My nose is running. So I pull over. But for some weird reason, I don't pull over where I'm supposed to. I pull over across the street facing oncoming traffic. Completely not even supposed to be there. I'm wiping my nose, wiping my face, and about 5, maybe 10 minutes tops goes by, and this car pulls up, and I watch the man get out of the car. He opens the back door, he grabs his dog. He's about to walk across the street to the water and walk his dog by the water. And this is March 16th, 2017. I'll never forget this day. And I'm looking at the guy. Man, I know this guy. Who is he? He looks so familiar. And all of a sudden it dawns on me. My best friend who died in 1997, it was his father. I hadn't seen this man in 21 years since the day of my friend's funeral. And I get out and I look at him and I said, Mr. Bill, is that you? And he turns over and he looks, he's like, Timmy. He's like, what are you doing here? And I fall to the curb and I start crying. I was like, I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I committed suicide. I don't know why I'm here. And he walks over to me and he puts his hand on my shoulder. And he says, Timmy, I'm not supposed to be here. He said, my bags are packed in my truck. I was supposed to leave this morning at 6:30 a.m. head to Myrtle Beach for a family reunion. My wife came to me in a dream last night, told me to come walk the dog this morning at 10:30. And I look at him, I'm like, Mr. Bill, I just the Bill's tree. I asked him for a sign that we weren't, there was something else out there. And he says, Timmy, he said, they're out there watching out over us. You're being protected. Everything's going to be okay. And I profoundly tell this story because as I'm leaving the park, I have about 10 minutes where I'm like, oh my God, like that was confirmation. There's something else out there. I'm going to be okay. I'm being protected. I'm being watched out of. And this is how powerful manipulating and cutting the disease of addiction. It tells me you're absolutely right. You're being watched at. You're being protected. Nothing's going to happen to you. So you don't have to stop doing what you're doing because you got a guardian angel. I did not pick up pain pills again. But from 2017 to March 5th, 2021, I drank the most alcohol I had ever drank in my entire life. I didn't think nothing was going to happen. The guardian angel, our friend's been watching over me this whole time. The 12 to 18 beers weren't doing enough. Like I was drinking like Sam Adams and Yinglings, thick beers, but I switched to Flying Dog, which is like 11, 13% per beer. And I'm still drinking 12 to 18 of those. I have this bright idea one day. I'm still not getting what I'm looking for. I don't do pain pills anymore. I'm still smoking pot, but to me, pot's pot. I'm not going to die off the pot. I have a bright idea, grab a couple units, at the register that they so conveniently put right into the register. So I'm like, I don't like vodka. I don't like bourbon. I really don't like liquor. But Fireball, that tastes like those candies. Let me try a couple of those. So I got into the parking lot. I bought 4 of them. I got into the parking lot. And I remember doing that miniature. And it hit me like the pain pills there. You get that warm blanket feeling that starts going down your body. It hits your toes. All of a sudden, you're like,
yeah, I remember that. Yep.
I'm like, wow, this kind of felt like a pain pill. And it was instant. I didn't have to wait 15, 20 minutes for it to kick in. I'm like, this is what I need right here. So the 12 to 18 beers stayed for a while. I was getting 4 or 5 minutes. The 18 went away. Now I'm getting 12 beers, but now I'm picking up a sleeve of Fireball, which is 10. That stayed like after a while, 12 beers, smoking pot. The 12 beers started dwindling down to a 6. But now I'm getting 2 sleeves of Fireball a day. Which if you don't know, if you're watching this, that's 20 miniatures. The last year and a half of my addiction, I was drinking a pack of beer and 30 to 35 Fireball miniatures a day.
Wow.
I didn't realize that I was literally killing myself. It got to the point where I get a brand new truck. I'm leaving after getting my sleeves, and I hit something. I don't still to this day have any idea what I hit. I don't have zero memory, but I remember I'm going telling my wife, I don't know what I hit. I'm not dealing with this shit tonight. I'm going to bed, and I go to bed. Now I don't know about you, whoever out there is listening, but I was a primary example. I got drunk. Nice. Whatever happened the night before didn't happen. It doesn't exist. I had no idea what you're talking about. So I woke up the next morning. Good morning, family. I'm going to the store getting milk, bread, and eggs. What else do we need for breakfast? Because, I'm going to make this really great breakfast. And my wife's just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm going to the store. How are you going to do that? I'm like, get my brand new truck in the driveway. It's like 4 weeks old. That temporary tags on, brand new. She's like, go look at your truck. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, go outside. So I go outside, driver's side, perfect. I'm like, what is she talking about? She's like, go on the other side of your truck. Go over to the passenger side mirror's gone. And the front passenger tire was hanging off the rim and it was pushed up underneath the bumper.
Wow.
No idea how I even drove it home. And she pops her head out the door and she's like, you don't remember what you hit? Yeah. I said, I got no idea. She's like, you could have killed yourself. You could have killed somebody else. I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to pack your bags and you need to leave. I don't want you around our children anymore. You got to go leave and figure this out. So I call AAA, renew spare tire on it. I call my buddy. I said, hey, let me come over to 2 or 3 days. She'll cool down. I'll come on back home. We'll just keep on moving. You know what I mean? Like nothing. So I go over to his house. We talk for a little bit. And he's like, dude, look, wrecked your truck. Wife kicked you out. It's Friday night. We might as well go to the bar. I'm like, hell yes. I got a justified reason to go out now. My wife kicked me out. I wrecked my truck. Let's go. Go to the bar. I get completely drunk. This is less than 24 hours later. I'm leaving the bar and I rear end somebody to wreck. I get out. Thank God he had a tow hitch on the back of his truck. Vehicle wouldn't even a scratch on his vehicle. But now the whole front of my bumper's all jacked up. I get out. I'm like, are you okay? He said, yeah, I'm okay. I said, well, you're okay. Your truck's okay. I'm out. See ya. Jumped into my car, jumped on the went off. We go to his buddy's house, get an 8-ball cocaine, go back to his house, do the whole damn thing. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm like, I can't stay here. I gotta go. I gotta go be by myself. I go and I drive to this liquor store that's open 24/7. I get 2 sleeves of Fireball. And I go and I park my truck at one of those parking rides where you can park for the day and go to work and come back and pick your vehicle up. And I turn my phone. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to hear from nobody. I don't want nobody to know where I'm at. I just want to sit in the backseat of my truck and pretty much have a damn pretty party about how my kids deserve a better father, my wife deserves a better husband, my parents deserve a better son. I'm a burden on everybody. I've ruined everything in my life. Everybody's better without me. I don't even live. So I sat there for 48 hours with my phone off, drinking, throwing up, passing out, drinking, throwing up, passing out for 2 complete days. On March 5th, 2021 at 7 after 10 in the morning, I turned my phone on. And 2 minutes later, after being off 48 hours, it rings. It says Westchester, Pennsylvania. I have no idea who it is. My first thought, it's a bill collector or scam caller. But for some reason, I pick it up. And I'm like, hello, my childhood friend, Brandon Novak. And he says, Lodgen, what the F are you doing? I'm like, I'm old, I'm drunk, I'm hungry, and I'm tired. And he says, good, and that's what you need. He's like, I got a plane ticket ready for you tonight. I got you in the Banyan Treatment Centers down West Palm Beach, Florida. I want you to get on that plane and get your life back. And honestly, I'm like, yep, sounds good. Yep, okay, yep, I'll go. Yeah, okay, okay. And hang up the phone. I don't want to do it. I don't want to hear that. I just want to hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
A couple minutes goes by, calls me, where have you been? We're worried sick about you. We didn't know what happened to you. Please come home. I go home, I pack my bags, shower. I couldn't take a nap. My mind's racing 1,000 miles an hour. Holy shit, I got to go to rehab. He didn't tell me how long is this rehab. Is it 30 days, months? Is it 6 months? Well, who's going to cut the grass? Who's going to put food in the fridge? Who's going to pay my truck payment? Who's going to keep the lights on? Mind you, I didn't give a shit about any of this a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Right. But now it's number one priority. Right. These are the most important things now. Right.
Yep.
Not my sobriety, not my life. So I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. And I'm like, I can't go. I can't do it. Like, I'm not doing it. And I hear this voice. And I truly believe that it was my mental illness and my addiction, knowing the last year ever take my life. And this voice says, take the pain, and I'll take the pain away. And I follow this voice to the basement of my house. And I throw a rope around the rafter of my basement. And I step up on the bucket. And I hear a step up, and I'll take the pain away. What I have learned in recovery and having belief in a higher power or God is there is no such thing as coincidence. Things happen for you. They do not happen to you. As I was stepping off of the bucket, my wife realized I was not in the bed taking care. And she comes running down the basement. My left foot is off of the bucket. I'm stepping off, and she screams, what are you doing? And it startles me back up on the bucket. And she says, do you know what your little girls? Please get on that plane. Please get on that plane, and everything's going to be okay. So I get down, I cry for 5 minutes. I call my buddy, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm going. I got to get on that plane. If I don't get on this plane tonight, my disease is going to kill me. And all he says is, proud of you, I love you, but call me when you're asking for security. I want to make sure you're getting on the plane and not leaving. My mom takes me to the airport, a couple of years by, I get past security. I call him, hey, Brandon, got 35 minutes, man. I'm getting on the plane, I'm past security, I got my boarding pass, I'm going. He's like, proud of you, I love you. You're about to get back everything that you've ever lost times 10. And he just hangs up. What happened to me in that airport was the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I cannot explain it other than I had a spiritual experience in that airport that changed me forever. As I sat down in the seat waiting for them to call me to board this plane, I get this overwhelming feeling of hope that engulfs my body. It was the same warm blanket feeling that the drugs and the alcohol used to give me, except this time it felt my fear, my doubt, my worry, my pain, and I truly believe it felt like the addiction was lifted out of my body. I hear this woman's voice. It was loving and it was caring. And she said, everything's going to be okay. I believe that I was given a sign or message from a higher power. That's what I believe. And by me believing that, it has changed my life. I went into rehab. Just this is life or death. There is no plan B. This is it. I'm going to do what they suggest me to do because rarely have anyone failed because I do all these suggestions. I went to eating. I went to extra eating for veterans and first responders. I changed my diet, working out with a personal trainer. And the biggest thing I believe that has helped me through my sobriety, come to 40 years every today, I found faith in a higher power. I believe it's greater than me when each charity. Because what I did, I knew got me to that place. I stepped away from my ego, my pride. I took my hands off the wheel and I said, okay, I'll do whatever you suggest I do. I became humble really quickly. I became grateful with the opportunity to possibly change my life. My friend did something so free and so generous by giving me the opportunity to change my own life, which is the same thing we do with these clients here in this treatment center. I can't do this work for them,
Sure.
but I can give them the opportunity to do it. And I could show them that within themselves, they can achieve anything that's possible in life. Do not care what anybody says. Do not care about anybody's opinion. I will go back to something that I learned when I was a little. My mom used to say to me, son, the one who says he can, the one that says he can't, both correct. I never really understood that going through. Like, that's dumb. It makes no sense. Our brain is the most powerful muscle in our body. I'm not talking physical, like your legs, like that. It is a processor of information. If I look in the mirror, what I did for 27 years, and told myself I'm an alcoholic, drug addict, piece of shit, and I don't deserve a good life, guess what I believed? I believed deserved all the pain that came to me. I believed I deserved getting in trouble. Oh, I believed my kids would be around scared of me. I believed my wife's uncle used to tell me, you're a drunk, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. I believed it. And for 27 years, I also used that fuel to continue to drink drug because I didn't believe I deserved anything better in life. I now know that the drugs, the alcohol was the Band-Aid over the bullet hole. The real problem was the things that happened to me in my life that I didn't want to deal with. I didn't want to think about. I didn't want to have to live. I correlated to on top of a mountain, it gets little snowballs, right? And you roll it down the hill. How big is it when it gets down to the bottom of it? It is so big it takes houses. But if you just clear your hands at that mountain, it's insignificant. It's nothing. I never to deal with things in my life. I would rather put it off and put it off. And then now I have things that I put off. And now I don't want to deal with things when I didn't want to deal with the first thing. Screw it. I'll get drunk. Now, it's been humbling to understand myself as a person, not just as a recovering alcoholic, but the self-centered thing I had, the selfishness that I really do have. Because at the end of the day, I didn't care food in the fridge. I didn't care if it was getting shut off every couple months. As long as I had beer, as long as I had my shots, as long as I had some weed, that's what I'm there now. And to live that way, selfish way, it's a very disheartening, dark way to live. I talked about that later in the project that I nonprofit for. The reason she did that is because in her deepest, darkest times, she tried to commit suicide. And all she needed bit of a light. So she makes these little wrists that glow up. Well, big thing here on all the lines, and they glow in. So you're never up in darkness. You always have a light to find your way out.
I love that.
My light, my friend calling out of nowhere that I didn't talk to here. It was just out of the blue. Hey, I got you in a place. Take it. I never thought I could get out of it. At the time, I didn't mean to wasn't found it. I just thought this is just how it's going to be. No way out. There's no possible way out. I lost. I had no faith. And I just won't go away. Today I celebrate 4 years of continuous sobriety and recovery. I am in recovery. I am a recovering addict. I will never fully be recovered. The day that I say I'm recovered is the day I sign my death sentence.
Yes.
Sobriety and recovery are two different animals.
Yes.
You can be sober and still be miserable human being.
Uh-huh.
Recovery, for me, I work the 12 steps.
Me too.
Those 12 steps have made me take a really in-depth role as Tim is the person, the things that I've done along the way, the people that I've hurt, the self-centeredness that I used to be, the lists that I had to write down and be like, oh my God, I'm that person.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was manipulative. Oh, I lied to that person. Told that person. I did this when I could get this from this person. Like, it really makes you take a look at yourself. I think the 12 steps should be for people in and out of recovery because it just makes you a better person all the way around.
Yep.
So the 12 steps work for me. Having a sponsor works for me. Going to meetings works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. What I have learned is my recovery is mine. Your recovery is yours. If you're working it and it's yours, work it. I have zero of what you do. If it's working for you, by all means, work it. I have been fortunate enough in my 4 years to speaking with you would be 33 podcasts to be able to share my story. I've been fortunate enough to be featured in 7 different sober and health magazines. Last year, I was voted Baltimore Mail's Inspirational Person of 2024 from addict to advocate. In August, I shot a TV show for Amazon Prime called Repurposed, which came out, I think, January, maybe even December, right after Christmas. It's called Repurposed, and I'm in season 2. It's also on YouTube. I also shot my second TV show for Amazon called The Night of Recovery, which actually comes out next month. And I've really been getting these opportunities to share my story and travel the country. I'm in California, Connecticut, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Florida. Really it's been opportunities that have been nice. And I'm going to leave it with this: is no matter how free you are or how drunk you are, life happens on life's terms. It is not what happens to us that defines us, but it is how we react to the situation that define our character. This past year, toughest year of my entire life, and it's been in my sobriety. June 16th, I found out all 3 of my daughters and my sister were molested by my brother. 2 days after that, my cousin was found dead after suffering with addiction for 5 years. And 3 days after that, I found out that my wife of 28 years has been having multiple affairs on me all during my sobriety.
Wow.
Within an 8-day span, I found out all of these that could have easily derailed my. I did drive to a liquor store, and I did sit in the parking lot, and I did call my buddy, and I said, hey, you can. I sat there and I punched my steering wheel, and I looked up and I said, why are you doing this? I've done all these podcasts. I speak in all these centers. I work in one. I've done all these great things. I've stayed in recovery. I go to meetings. Why are you doing this to me? And the answer I got was, because you wouldn't have been strong enough to deal with this, I would have made it a decision. I would have went and told my brother, right? Doesn't change what he did to my sister and my daughters. But who would that affect? My mom. Now my mom's got a dead son and one in prison. My daughter are now going to deal with traumatic experiences in her life with drugs, alcohol, or violence. My cousin's dead. I can't bring him back. I'm not a witch doctor, right? He's gone. And no matter how painful it may be to hear myself say this, and my actions don't require a reaction justifying anything, but maybe my wife needed some attention. Maybe she needs some affection. Maybe she needed to be told she was pretty. And for a very long time, again, because I do something doesn't mean, if I punch you, doesn't mean you need to punch me. You can simply walk away. But I get it. We're humans. It feels good to be told you're pretty. It feels good to be told you're handsome. It feels good to have affection. Somebody holds you. We're human beings. I get it. But I didn't have to throw around my recovery because of it. Right? And I believe working test recovery, having a sponsor and doing a meeting and really living a life of recovery and gratitude and being humble gave me the power to really take a logical look at the situation instead of an emotional. 9 times out of 10, we make an emotional decision. It is the wrong one.
Yes.
If we only went to the gym when we felt like it, those gyms would be empty.
Yep.
If we only went to work when we felt like it, nobody would have employees.
Yep.
Emotion-based decisions are usually the wrong one. It's when you do it when you don't want to, that builds the calluses on your brain. The consistency of doing something over and over and over again builds discipline. Motivation is a person that comes and goes.
Yeah.
You can watch a YouTube video and be motivated for an hour to go to the gym, go cut the grass, or go do something. That fades. When you continue to do it over and over and over and over again, that consistency is what builds discipline and character. And that's where you see a difference.
Yes.
There's been days where I didn't feel like being in recovery. That was one of the days when I found out about my daughters. I don't want to deal with this shit. I'd rather drink and do some drugs and forget about it all. But I did, and here I am celebrating 4 years. You do it when you don't feel like it. That's when you get the biggest reward.
Yeah. 100%.
When I realized it was up to me and it was my choice, that mind shift of I'm in control. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. Your lifestyle doesn't affect mine.
Mm.
I'm going this way. You by all means can go whatever way you want. As long as you don't physically try to harm me or my children, I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what you think about my life. You do you, I'll do me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a much simpler life living that way. I stay in my lane, make sure my street's clean. You can graffiti your street all up, the trash all on it. Don't involve me, please. I live in a much simpler life. I live in an apartment, 1-bedroom apartment. The first couple months did suck, I'm not going to lie. Being alone without my kids was very depressing.
Sure.
But I think I needed to go through that as well to know that I'm strong enough to stand on my own. And if I can get through all of it, then anybody can. It comes down to I didn't want to give up.
Uh-huh.
I gave up too many times and it almost cost me my life. I'm sick of running from things. I'm stronger than I ever have been. And I know that now. And that's the mind shift. I'm unbreakable at this point. Life's going to come at me. I know what's going to happen. But it's not taking everything I worked so hard for.
You've seen the darkness, and you used the word darkness. You talked about that a lot in your active addiction, and you've now experienced it in recovery. So yes, in active addiction, we can run from the darkness and we can drink and escape, like you're saying. But then when we're sober, and I've also seen the darkness 3 times in sobriety. I've hit the floor, emotional bottoms. I've been through the ringer as well. And I did not have to drink either. And now when we see I said this on I was a guest on a podcast recently. There's a song, and one of the lyrics is, "Now the darkness don't scare me much," because we've been there and we've been there sober. And I think all of that is a gift, because it's now I know I can, barring like, maybe God forbid the death of my children or something like, I'm not sure it can get much worse than the bottom that I've been at in sobriety, and I think you as well. And you use the one word, the key word that I don't think we talk about enough in recovery. I'm also in 12-step, and that's where it's at for me. Humble. You humbled yourself. So my brother died from this addiction almost 7 years ago, overdose. And you kind of remind me a little bit of him. And I always said, people say, well, why? Why are you sober and he's not? I said, I don't know. All I know is that Jeremy could not humble himself. He just couldn't. He was one of those constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves, right? We talk about being honest with. I feel like the honesty and the humility are married. They're partners. They go hand in hand. If I want to be honest, I got to get humble. If I want to look at myself and who I truly am, like you're talking about, like what we do in these steps, I got to humble myself and say, yeah, I was a piece of crap. Yeah, I did that. Even now, I look at, 10th step, like I look at stuff and it's like, can't believe I still do that. And I've got some time under my belt. And it's like, how do I still react that way? So it's not as intense or as frequent, but I definitely still have some of those core things that I think I will be working on managing my whole life. But
I still have those impulses.
Yeah, some stuff is so in there, the core stuff that we learned as children that just takes a lot of time, right? It took time to walk into the forest, it's going to take time to walk out,
That's funny that you said that. A gentleman that I worked for, I was a master carpenter for a lot of years, but he had like 8 years. And he's like, how long did you drink a drug? I'm like 27 years. And how long you got sober? I was like, I'm about a year and a half. Say, so you're in the woods talking like this for 27 years. You think you're going to find the way out? If young man, he's like, it's going to take time.
I'll tell you, I hit my last emotional bottom of the 3 when I was 12 years sober. It got worse. And I was doing the work. I wasn't not doing the work. I was in therapy. I founded a clubhouse here. I founded a 12-step clubhouse when we moved to Colorado. I was sponsoring women. I was doing all this. Thought I was, looking at myself honestly, but some things are subconscious in my subconscious that can't rise to the surface until something happens. And that was my brother's death. And thank you so much for having the courage to talk about spirit and the signs that you got. Because some people don't want to talk about that because they think it makes them look weird or woo-woo or whatever. It's 100% real. I am certified in that world in some areas. And I don't need to be certified to know that it's real. It's real. It's all real.
No, I'm going to tell you something real quick. I have had so many signs in my recovery. At this point, it's just almost like he's playing with me. It's like, I'm here, right? I'm like, yeah, I get it. I went and, you ever heard of Kensington, Philadelphia?
No.
So Kensington, Philadelphia is the heroin capital of the United States.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
If you ever get 10, 15 minutes, YouTube Kensington, PA.
Okay.
It will blow your mind. They hurdle the addicts to a park called McPherson Square Park, and they allow them to openly use drugs. And the cops are on each four corners, and they just wait for somebody to overdose so they can call the ambulance. It's in a public park. They renamed it Deep Park. A friend of mine asked me to come back there and speak. He said, put your boots on. He said, there's needles everywhere. He said, I'm not kidding. This isn't a joke.
Wow.
And I get out there and I'm looking around, and he's a pastor. I'm like, why am I here? Nobody's going to hear anything that I have to say. I just drove an hour and a half, wasted my time. He's like, Tim, just take the microphone, talk for 20 minutes. He's like, somebody will hear you. I'm like, Scott, they're shooting up right there. Girl was helping a man out on the park bench. These two were smoking crack. I'm like, nobody's going to hear anything I say. He's like, just speak for 20 minutes. Somebody will hear something. So I get done. hand out some food, some clothes. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. Thank you. I appreciate it. He said, wait, can I pray with you? I'm like, sure, man. Absolutely. Take it. Let's do it. She prays with me, gives me a hug. He's like, thanks for coming out. I'm leaving. And this guy comes running up to me and he says, excuse me, sir. I'm like, yeah. He's like, was that man just praying with you? And I said, yeah, why? He said, I took a picture of him praying with you. He said, I don't know who you are or why you're here. He said, but if you ever don't think you're right where you need to be, he said, always look at this picture.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. That's crazy.
Right? Now, I know this is just a telephone pole, but right in the middle of that picture.
Yep. That's unbelievable.
So,
And I don't know if it's just the printing, but turn it around. Do you see what I was looking at is the light beam that's coming down.
yeah.
Yeah. That's what you're saying. The light and then the cross. Yes.
No.
Wow. That's incredible, Tim. You know, there are people, I think we all have that connection. You're open and aware and awake to it. And that not everybody experiences. So
I am now.
Now, yes. Now. I wasn't either. I wasn't either back then.
You ever notice when you go buy a new car, so you get like, I don't know, a Chevy Tahoe and just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do a full-way stop and you see 3 other Chevy Tahoes.
Yeah.
Where the hell did all these Tahoes come from?
You're looking for it.
They've always been out there. You just never notice them.
Yes.
The signs have always been there. You've just been blinded. You never saw them.
Yep. And your friend Bill 100% is working magic behind the scenes there for you. Moving. They move people to do things. Moving Brendan to call you at the right time. Moving his father to show up. Yeah. Like, why are we just inspired to do things at just certain times, or our attention is moved? Like, yeah, we might be looking for things, but I think the spirit is moving us and inspiring us to be looking for those things. It's both. So
6 months into my sobriety, I decided to do a podcast. I was like, whatever, it's kind of cool. I've been speaking at my meetings. I see the same 30 people. They've heard my story 20 times. Let me just try to do a podcast. I had like 6 months sober. So I do it. These guys in like Hawaii, I'm here in Maryland. I'm like, that was pretty cool.
yeah.
Nobody might hear it. That was a neat experience. Like a month or so goes by. I'm like, whatever. I had 6 months sober. Nobody cares. I'm in Delaware picking up a table to take it to my buddy Brandon's sober house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting at this guy's driveway waiting for him to load it up in my truck. And it's 7:45 at night, random as shit. And my phone rings and it says Columbus, Ohio. I'm like, oh God, scam call or whatever. So I pick it up. I'm like, hello. And the guy's like, hey, is this Tim? I'm like, yeah, who's this? He's like, Tony. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I don't know any Tonys. He's like, no, don't hang up. He said, I served with you in 1995 in Somalia. I'm like, what? This is 2021.
Yeah.
I'm like, how'd you get my number?
Wow.
He's like, oh, I got you. It's on Facebook. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what's going on? He's like, you did a podcast, didn't you? I'm like, yeah. He said, it aired 4 days ago. I'm like, yeah. He said, dude, I got 4 days sober after 18 years.
Wow.
I said, you what? He said, I've been drug addict and alcoholic for 18 years. I've lost marriages, jobs. He's like, I heard your podcast 4 days ago. He's like, and you gave me the strength that I could beat things. And he said, and I wanted to call and tell you thank you. I'm like, oh, like I'm sure I haven't talked to this man in 20, almost 30 years. What?
Yeah.
So I hang up the phone and I'm like, that wasn't a coincidence.
Not at all.
Okay.
We really, we never know what we're going to say. I just shared this in a meeting yesterday. Somebody had said, and Amanda said, and it helped me. And I was like, that's why I come here and I share, because I do not know. We don't know what we're going to say. We might think it's this, there's no reason, whatever. We just don't know. We just have to follow that compulsion, really, for me, is what it feels like. Just like a pushing or following some kind of message, soul calling or pull or whatever you want to describe it as. There's something that moves me. And and you too, like following that will never lead us astray. And we don't know who we're going to help. So it's amazing. And I was telling somebody this morning that I was going to be talking to you, and I was like, and I'm really big on this. I'm also a writing coach, and one of my clients is a man in his 50s, and he's writing about some really deep, dark stuff. He's also sober. He lost a child. He has some childhood trauma. And him and you and other people that I have started to see, these men, like, look at you, you look like a tough guy, right? And you're crying on a podcast. Thank you. Thank you for doing that, for being vulnerable. That we need so much more of that. And that's what I'm working with this man. Like, your story, you guys are just like regular knock around kind of guys. You know what I mean? Like, you showing these other men that it's okay to show your feelings. It's okay that you have struggles. It's okay that you're depressed or maybe you have PTSD. It's okay. And you can share that and you don't have to feel ashamed, right? We're breaking so many cycles where the society is so upside down because we're going through a major shift. And one of those shifts is this masculine energy that is now tapping into the feminine, more of the compassionate side, the love, the understanding, the caring for yourself and for others. So I am just so grateful to have met you and that you're doing this. You're getting up and you're speaking and you're showing other people what's possible. You have a hardcore story, man. Thank you for sharing it.
It's funny that you said that because the gentleman that I actually filmed with for the Amazon Prime thing yesterday called me. And he said, hey, I need you to come speak on May 9th in Pennsylvania. We're doing a veterans benefit. He's like, we need guys to come talk to combat veterans and show them that the old school 1950s, suck it up, buttercup, don't let nobody see you cry, rub some dirt in it kind of a thing. It's okay to kind of grown up like that. Like, but at the end of the day, you're a human being. Your emotions are going to be there. It's okay to cry. Isn't that what makes us human? Is our emotion?
All of
happy,
it.
sad, glad, crying, upset.
Yeah.
That stigma of being a man and, just rough and tumble kind of stuff like that will break you faster than you can imagine. I'm not supposed to do that. And then when you do, you feel bad that you did it because you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Denying that part of yourself, it's going to come up in another way. You can't push down any part of your humanity. It's almost like you can't fight against Mother Nature. You can't fight against your own humanity, not let it out and expect it to just be okay. You're going to create an addiction, a mental illness. It's going to come out sideways. So, and I sent you a link. My husband and my two daughters are writing a graphic novel, about our dog. And so my husband's a 9/11 first responder. He had PTSD. He was a transit police officer in the subways in the late 80s. And then he was a fireman and he did 25 years and got out. And then we moved from New York to Colorado. But so him and my daughters are writing a book about our dog who also has PTSD. This poor dog. Oh, I don't know what they did to her, but she's a Belgian Malinois. Shepherd Collie. Yeah, she's amazing. And she should be scary, but she's not. She's the biggest mush in the world. So the book is about how she and him kind of like save each other. Like we thought, like who saved who? Like, so it's so cool that like my husband's putting himself out there as well. Like this is his story. I mean, it's not his name, but it's his story. So it's just more and more of this stuff is and it's his dream to help people with PTSD, whether you're, he's been talking to a lot of veterans and stuff around here because it's so important. He's also sober 28 years, and like you started talking like in the beginning, like that childhood trauma, that stuff leads to our addiction, right? That like, I'm worthless. I am unlovable. Why did daddy leave me? That leaves a deep, deep wound. That leaves a scar that takes a really, really long time. You're doing it, dude. I mean, you seem to found that unconditional love from a greater source. That's really what it is. And yourself.
The change in perspective that it's not happening to me, it's happening for me.
I wrote that down. I wanted to touch on that. Yeah.
That has been huge.
Huge.
So my entire life, I was the glass half empty guy. Where's the rest of my drink? Why is there no ice cubes in it? And where's my refill? I want it. I want it. I want it.
Yeah. Me.
Yeah. Now, if I pick it up and it's half full, as long as there's something in there to get my mouth wet, that's truly all that I need.
Yes.
No, I was a carpenter for many, many years. I made six figures and I had a house, a big house. I had a boat. I had cool things, but I was a drug addict, alcoholic, and I was mentally ill.
Yeah.
I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I make half of six figures and I'm twice as happy as I've ever been.
That's right.
Because truly none of that monetary outside stuff has nothing to do with happiness begins from within.
Yes.
I turn my pain into my purpose and my mess into a message.
Yes.
I have something here that I can leave behind that could possibly have such a ripple effect that I may never know. Who knows if I help one of these clients one day and they go and they get married and they have children and their children see that their mommy or their daddy never did drugs or alcohol. And those kids grow up.
Yes.
Have children and they don't have drugs or alcohol.
Breaking the chain. You're contributing to it in a major way.
My buddy said that to me. Did you realize what you're doing could be generational? I'm like, no,
it is.
He said, no, think about it. When you throw that rock in the water and it just keeps going out, how do you know somebody out there that you help one day has a child that could change something, change the world, invent something that changed the world because you helped their parents get out of drugs and alcohol? I'm like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
He said, it's bigger than you.
It is.
He's trying to share what was so freely given to me, I was trying to share with them, but I never really looked at it like that.
It's huge. What's going on is bigger than either of us could really wrap our head around. It's just, we're not really supposed to understand the magnitude of it. I mean, I can feel like it's really big, but like we just, you just don't know. And we don't need to know. We just need to do. We just need to act when we're moved. And I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And so you believe that all of this happens, your sobriety is thanks to a shift in mindset, right? Your whole deal is power of mindset. So it's just flipping that script from it's happening to me to it's happening for me, even if it sucks, right? Yeah. Like what you said about the dark hole that you were in last June, right? It propelled you.
I was like, you might not want to be here in group. You may not want to have your counselor talking to you. You may not want to hear our speakers coming in and talking. But what you don't know is you're supposed to be here right now at this time in your life to learn something, whether it sucks or whether it's great. What can you learn from this experience?
Yeah.
Because in life, in school, you learn a lesson and take a test. In life, you get a test and you learn the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It's opposite. You're being tested right now. What lesson can you learn from it that helps you grow as a person? One thing that's definite is change and death. You cannot outrun either one of them.
Nope.
So if you're going to change, make it be a positive change.
Yeah.
Ever since I was little, my mom would tell me this one thing that I thought was just dumb. Just straight up, I don't get dumb, so I thought it was dumb. Tim, nothing changes until something changes.
Your mom is very wise. I mean, I'd like to get her on this show.
And I'm like, Mom, it makes no sense. That's dumb. Stop saying it to me. Oh, you're expecting different results by doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Said it over and over and over. My 1-year anniversary, and I got up and spoke in my home group, and I'm speaking, and all of a sudden it hits me. Wow. I never understood what you were saying until right now. I changed one thing, and everything changed.
Yup. Yeah. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You got it. You have to change. You have to be willing. And then again, underneath that, which you have so much of, and underneath that willingness is humility. That's why, to me, it always goes back to the humility. I have to be humble enough to be willing to do something differently, at least just to try it, to just try that suggestion. I don't know, maybe it'll work. But if I keep going like that, that's the disease, is our brain and our ego telling us, no, I got this. I know the way. I got this. Whatever it is.
I know this. I don't know shit. My way got me here.
Yeah. Which is a gift. We know. I see the sign up, up over your head.
Yeah.
It is a gift, but it's still got us into a lot of pain. So something was wrong with it.
Now I'm done driving. I'll let him drive for a while.
That's right.
And I'll be the passenger, and I'll enjoy the ride.
Yes.
Control. Because when I'm in control, I burn the house down.
And it's so much less stressful, right? Like the third step prayer, relieve me of the bondage of self. I always, whenever I say that, I always get like a tinge of like a little, like a second of anxiety, because it's like, all right, you're going to do this. Like, I got to give up this control, you know? And then I get like filled with a relief of like, okay, I don't have to do it. You can do it. How much easier is it? It's so much less exhausting than driving a bus.
Well, it's a simple solution for complicated,
Yeah.
in other words.
Yeah, we
It's simple,
complicate
just simplify.
we complicate everything, and it really is very, very, very simple. It's probably a masochistic behavior, the complicating, right? Like if I complicate it enough, maybe I won't allow it to happen. I'll keep myself out of that happiness, or if I figure it out, then I'm extra smart. And
Well, it's no coincidence that people in recovery are some of the most successful people in the world.
oh yeah, we're super bright.
We have a determination and a tenacity that most people do not understand. It's like, I don't know about you, but even in my addiction, if I wanted to do something, nobody could talk me out of it. If I didn't want to do something, I wasn't doing it. You couldn't change my mind.
Yeah, once we set our mind to something, it's getting done. It's getting done, and it's probably getting done very well.
Yep. That's it. And you can't change my mind. I'm doing it. I don't care what you think. I don't care the consequences. I'm doing it. I reversed that into a positive.
Yes.
I'm staying sober no matter what.
I said,
Today,
yeah,
I'm going to bed sober.
no matter
And
what.
I stay today. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't even know if tomorrow is going to show up. I could leave here one day on my motorcycle and get halfway down the street and lose my life.
Or that asteroid that we've been waiting on could finally hit. That's it. Are we going to be proud of how we lived up until now, right?
Yeah. Thinking about what we did in the past brings depression and it's depression, it's a shame, it's guilt. Thinking about tomorrow's anxiety,
Yeah.
racing thoughts and panic. Staying in the day is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Stay in today. Control what you can, and if you can't, let it roll.
Yeah, and if you're seeking a higher power or God or like you said, Buddha, Allah, whatever universe, whatever he, she, it, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The only place that energy is right here. It's only in the present moment that you can really tap in and feel that. It's not behind you and it's not ahead of you. It's only right here. So if you're really seeking this solution, which I believe as well, you said your higher power. Yeah, we have the three, service, recovery, unity, and we have the fellowship and we have all that stuff. But really at the end of the day, it's between me and God. And that is my defense, right? So if you're listening to this and you're seeking, it's with you already. It's here. It's really not even something you have to find. It's something you just have to like wake up to. It's not like this long lost thing that's out there that you got to pull down to you. It's in you, really.
Do you remember that old, the footprints?
Yeah.
Where it says, where were you? I looked back, it's from the old, you one set of footprints. He said, well, that's when I was carrying you.
Yep.
You're never alone.
Never.
In your darkest, deepest days, when you think you're left alone, you are being carried the most.
Yes.
I never thought about that when I was in my addiction. I was like, you left me, you're leaving me to die. No, you're helping me fight. It's that perspective change. It's that mindset change.
Yes, you said a couple times when you had in your story about why are you making me suffer? Why are you doing this to me, right? So yes, shifting that mindset, that perception of, again, not happening to me before me. And yeah, it might suck. Might suck a lot.
I don't think I have it up here. Low level. I can't see it over here. You're not being punished, you're being educated.
Everything is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and you might have to go through some pain to get there. Some of us have to be beaten until reasonable, whatever they call it. Like sometimes we have to be at the bottom to then rise. Maybe there's nowhere else to go but up. So it's all pain. I'm a big, I believe, pain into purpose. I'm big into that. And suffering, I think, has it. You don't have to stay in the suffering, but it serves a purpose for a while.
And I never knew what hope actually stood for until I got into recovery. And then I share it with the clients out there. I'm like, you know what hope stands for? And they're like, hope. Like, you don't lose hope. I'm like, no, hold on, pain in.
Yes, that's a good one.
What? I'm like, yeah, I lost hope. And the pain was trying to kill me. It's when I found it that the pain did end. Doesn't mean I might experience pain again.
Sure.
But as long as I hold on to hope and I have faith in something greater than myself, I will never be lost.
That's amazing, Tim. You're awesome. You're awesome. So, all right, where can people find you? Go watch his shows, Repurposed, Night of Recovery coming out. Those are both on Amazon Prime. Is that what you said?
Yes, both of those on Amazon Prime, and also they are on YouTube. You can type in my name, Repurposed, or Night of Recovery. They'll come up. My biggest page is on Instagram. It's at T Lodgen.
Okay.
That's where I post all of my interviews, my transformation, my podcast, my magazine clips, anything like that. I am public. I receive messages all the time from people all over the world, different age groups. It doesn't matter. I respond to each and every message. I never know what a simple, I'm proud of you. You can do this. Don't give up. Could change somebody's life. I don't ignore any message. Now I will say this, and I'll admit this. I took some time off Instagram for a while. I took about 3 months off. I had to separate myself this past summer when I got my wife, and I kind of had to recruit my system. Started doing more. So I was only doing like 1 or 2 a week. I started doing 4 or 5 again. I started journaling again. I started reading more. I had to kind of like just reboot myself. And social media, I mean, even though I have like almost 40,000 followers on Instagram, that's where I was like, this is my purpose. Like people are reaching me. Take a step back and just get Tim back again. So I've been back on it for a couple of days. There's messages waiting there, unfortunately, for a month or so. But that's where you can mostly reach me. And please, if you are suffering from mental illness or addiction, if a loved one is suffering from mental illness and addiction, and you just don't have any, and maybe have a question to ask, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. That's a beautiful offer. I hope people take you up on it. One of the most, towards the end, one of the, I think, most important things you said was you're never alone. You're never alone. Yes, higher power, but there are people around you. You just have to reach out. You can reach out to me too. Just reach out.
One of the things that kept me from seeking recovery or sharing my story, I was ashamed. I felt guilty. And the biggest thing, nobody would ever understand the pain that I'm going through. I couldn't have been more wrong about any of those things.
Yes.
So I actually, recovery, I dropped my walls, began to share. There are so many people out there that could imagine that exactly what you're going through.
Yeah, don't believe the lies. Those are the lies of addiction. Don't believe that. Just say, shh. I'm going to act anyway. I'm going to reach out for help, even though my brain is telling me something. Don't believe it.
Well, that's what it wants. It wants to keep you by itself and think.
Yes, it wants to isolate you so it can kill you. 100%. So, Tim, I've taken up enough of your time. I'm sure we could sit here and talk for another hour and a half, but I will let you go. This is one of the longest, I think this is my longest guest podcast I've ever done. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I will put all of the links for you guys to follow Tim, to watch his movies, to get in touch. I will put those links in the description. And Tim, take care of yourself, and I hope to speak to you soon.
It was such a pleasure to meet you. Very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being on. Thanks for all you're doing.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye-bye.